Hi, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural episode of The Sound of Seattle Mariners Feelings. I'm Kelly Lyles. This is a podcast. It's a podcast community. I'm calling it something different than just a podcast. It's a podcast community for what I call soft-hearted fans. So there are a lot of podcasts that discuss baseball. There are a lot of podcasts that discuss Seattle Mariners baseball. There's great ones out there. I might talk about some of them in future episodes, but you can search them. They're out there and they're great. I'm wanting to do something a little bit different. I'm trying to develop a little bit of community with people who just want to talk about feelings about the Mariners. Full transparency, I am a mental health professional. I feel like the whole reason I'm here is to help people feel feelings. So that's one of my biggest passions in life. I would say an equal passion for me is the Seattle Mariners. I have been a Seattle Mariners fan since they've been here. So I'm an OG. I was going to Mariners games. I mean, when I look at the dates, right, I think I would have just been turning 8 in April of 77. Yes, that's right. And I don't know if we went to the first game. I don't remember that or not, but I know we were going to games from the time they came here. If you are local, I grew up, I didn't grow up. I spent several years from about 3 to 9 in Anacortes. And so when the Mariners first came, we would, with my parents and my brother, we would take the Amtrak from Mount Vernon to Seattle, and we would go have lunch or dinner at Ivar's on the waterfront, and we would feed seagulls before we knew it wasn't okay to feed seagulls. And then we would walk up to the ticket counter at the Kingdome and buy tickets and have first baseline, front row, maybe a row or two up tickets. And you guys, I don't remember a lot of people being around us. The vendors all knew us. We were never season ticket people, but we went as often as we could, and because there weren't a lot of fans back in the early days, I think people just came to know those of us who went often. I don't really know what often was. I just remember going to games. We moved to Everett when I was 9, and I spent the rest of my growing up years in Everett, and we, would just drive out to the Kingdome. So my mother was the big baseball fan in our family. I had, he's no longer living, but I had an uncle who, I don't know if he played minor league ball, but I know he got hurt. And I think my mom just fell in love with baseball, even, just through him. She taught me how to keep score. I'm not sure I could still do it, but I probably could pick it up. But she always kept score. We always had to get a program every time we went to the game because my mom always kept score. And we also joke a lot about the fact that, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I had a home that had the intercom system in it. And so my mom would be listening to the game on the main intercom system in the kitchen. And at some point during the game, my mom would just yell an obscenity, and all of the radios would go off in all of our rooms. So if anybody else was listening to the game in their room, the game was off, because my mom really struggled with Mariners ball in lots of ways, right? Because those early days, and I mean, let's face it, if you've been a Mariners fan for a long time, it's not just even early days. It's, 50 years of sometimes complicated emotions with this team that we love. And I will be a Mariners fan until the end of my days. And if I never get to see them go to the World Series, that will be sad and disappointing. And also, I love this team. I am a lifetime fan, and I will always love them. And the other thing about baseball for me is that I think I watch it differently than a lot of people. And that's part of the reason I wanted to start this community, because I wanted to find out if there are other people who watch baseball the way I do. I am intrigued by the players as humans. When something happens, a player has a really bad day, right? We all have really bad days, but their bad days are on a national, everyone's watching this on national TV, and I don't have to have my bad days broadcast over national TV. And I know they signed up for it. I know that's the argument. People always make this argument that's like, well, they're making millions and millions of dollars, and this is what they signed up for, and they get to play baseball for a career. So yes, and, right? I am a big proponent of the and, that they are also human. And I also believe that they don't owe us anything. And I think there are people that disagree with me. This probably isn't the podcast for you if you disagree with me. I think this podcast is for people who believe there is crying in baseball. I'm a big fan of tears. And for people who can see the humanity behind each one of these players and the coaches and their families. And, I think the thing that really, I think if you're someone who felt that Josh Naylor should have not been at his baby's birth because we were in the playoffs and he should have that was what he signed up for, probably not your podcast. So if you were someone like me who was spending so much time thinking, oh my gosh, Josh Naylor's wife is waiting to have a baby, waiting to go into labor, and he's out here playing this game with that in the back of his head. If when Victor Robles threw the bat at the pitcher, down in the Rainiers game last year, my first thought was, oh my gosh, he is just at the end of his nervous system is done. His mom had died. He had been injured all year long. No player wants to be injured all year long. And he got injured by making an incredible play. And then he kept getting hit by these balls. And he knew he wasn't supposed to throw that bat. And we all do things, right? We all do things that we look back on and go, ugh, I wish I hadn't had done that. I don't have to do it on a national stage. So if some of this is resonating with you, maybe you're the person I'm looking for as far as this podcast community. So I'm going to explain a little bit of what I'm hoping to do here. One, I am doing this by myself right now. So I have done another podcast talking about grief, because I also do a lot of grief counseling. That's for a whole nother day. I joke a lot that I became a grief counselor and really fell in love with grief, but I learned how to grieve by being a Mariners fan. And I think if you understand that too, right, this is the right place for you. But I did that podcast with a little bit of help. I had somebody kind of helping me put together everything. I'm learning this on my own. This is part of my own process of going, okay, how can I'm a smart person. I can figure some of this out, although I'm not a young person, and I am having to learn things that I know nothing about. So these are not going to be super edited podcast episodes. In fact, what I want most of the episodes to be are live. And that's unique in itself and also very challenging, especially trying to do it by myself. So I'm hoping over this season, the podcast evolves, right? It evolves as it evolves naturally. Maybe I find someone in the community who's really good at producing things like this. That would be amazing. But I'm trying to do this in a way that is simple and just develops community. And so it's going to be raw, I guess is my point. And I want it to be raw. I don't want it to be overly produced. I want it to be very real as to who I am. And I would like it to be very real with who you are. And so what my hope is, and I'm saying this today on January 3rd, we'll see how this season progresses. My hope is that I can record a live podcast episode twice a week. And what I'm thinking right now are Mondays and Thursdays, because typically if we have a day off, it's going to be one of those days. But my goal would be that on Mondays, we could talk about, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday games. And on Thursdays, we can talk about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday games. And I don't really know how I'm going to do it exactly, but I'm thinking maybe like Monday morning-ishes and Thursday evenings. And then allowing for the idea that if there's a big game, when we play the Astros, if we want to go live the entire series, I don't know. Or when we are dealing with something where it's like, oh, this is a big series. Or, I don't know. I'm not sticking to anything. I don't want to say this is the way it is always going to be, because I really do think this is going to evolve. But what I want to do in each of those live episodes is talk about how it feels to be a Mariners fan that day. What we're not going to do, and this is why I want you to go find those other Seattle Mariners podcasts that do all these things. We are not going to talk about stats. We're not going to talk about batting averages and WAR, and we're just not going to talk about all of those kind of things, because there's plenty of people doing that, and that's not my passion. Are the numbers. I'm not the statistics girl. I'm the emotion girl. And so we're not going to get into like, why do they have him playing because his batting average sucks or he hasn't had a hit in however many days. We might talk about somebody who hasn't had a hit in so many days, but we're going to talk about the emotional aspect of that for them and how we feel about it. We are going to treat each one of these players as humans, and we're going to treat ourselves as humans. And that means you get to have all the emotions. We will talk about things like anger. And I think this is where this has all started for me was, we had quite a season last season. It was amazing. And when you have an amazing season like that, a lot of people come out of the woodwork and a lot of people get angry and say nasty things. And I think Mariners fans are pretty amazing, but again, we're all human. But, when you see players who have death threats put against them, I'm not saying that the Mariners had that, but I know there was a situation for Taylor Shiseido last year that was really ugly. That if you're somebody that has said any of those things to somebody like Taylor, this is not your podcast. This is a place to go. How do we let Taylor know that we love him? Those kind of things, right? And I understand that, I'm bringing up names. Some of these people are still going to be on the team. Some of them are not going to be on the team, all of those kind of things. That's fluid as baseball is. But I'm trying to make it clear that this is really about a safe place to come shed some tears if you need to shed some tears. And to explore all the emotions around baseball, least of all, anger. I'm not saying you can't be angry, but I am going to tell you that anger is a masking emotion, and it really masks fear and pain. So when I see people getting really, really angry, I see that as someone who's just upset and hurting and sad and, all of anguished, all of the things that are coming out as anger, because anger is a societally acceptable emotion, where we would rather deal with somebody angry than deal with somebody crying in society. And I'm here to challenge that a little bit. So, not saying you can't be angry at all, but we'll talk about what's behind the anger and see if we can go a little deeper. And, we'll talk about things like the emotions behind someone like Cal Raleigh that's playing pretty much every single day. And he's built different, obviously. But also he's a human being, right? And you see a lot of their humanity in the off season when they're out doing things that they're just having fun, just like all of us want to. But they're also going through things in life, right? They're going through things with, there was a period of time, I got COVID at a game last year, and I was kind of joking about it because while I was home with COVID, I missed another game because I had COVID. And but they were talking about a nasty bug going around the clubhouse. And I'm like, oh, they all have COVID and they're playing. And I'm not wanting to get out of bed, right? So it's those kind of things. I'm just going to say the word so many times. It's the humanity behind baseball that I'm hoping to do here. And so with the live podcasts on YouTube, what I'm hoping is that people will join in, right? And that we'll have some conversation, and we can, you're in the chat and I can talk to you as we're processing through a series or a game, a fun game, a hard game, all the games in between. There's 162 of them. And yeah, and I want to start, so it's January, and what I'm hoping to do right now is just upload a few different podcast episodes, just kind of talking about, what I'm hoping to do with this and kind of get those out there. It's a practice opportunity for me to get these uploaded onto YouTube. I don't know right now where else I'm going to put them. I'm not a big Spotify fan. And I don't know. I'm just going to start on YouTube. So I'm going to upload a few videos just to kind of get us started in January. We all know pitchers and catchers report in February. And right now I am planning to go to spring training for the first time. I was supposed to go last year and I had the flu, like really bad flu. So I'm hoping this year that I can make it down there. We're supposed to be there the 26th through March 1st. So it will be my first time. And my hope is, I can talk about it after we get back. I don't know that I'm going to be doing any podcasts while I'm there. But I do have an Instagram page, which is in the comment section or in the note section of whatever, this podcast on YouTube. See how much I know. So you can join the Instagram page, and I might upload videos to the Instagram page from things like spring training, or if I'm at a game, or my gosh, you guys, my dream would be that we develop such a community here that when somebody's at a game, somebody else might be at the game and you can meet each other and I can meet you. And I don't know. I want a community here. I have been a Mariners fan. This is their 50th season, right? And I have been a Mariners fan since the beginning. You are welcome here if you have been a Mariners fan for a year. Or, my children, I have 3 adult sons, and none of them are big baseball fans, but my youngest is a competitor. He is a gamer. He's also an aerospace engineer, but he did a lot of competitive gaming in his teen years and even recently into adulthood. And so he is a competitor. He's traveled all over the world to compete in his particular game. And he got very fascinated by the playoffs last year with the Mariners. And it was so fun for me to have a kid who was, just interested in the game. He's the statistics kid. He's the one who wants to talk about all the statistics. He probably doesn't want to talk about the feelings as much as I want to talk about the feelings. but it was fun to watch him. And I asked him, I said, so are you going to be more interested in it this year? And he said, yeah, maybe a little bit. He goes to games occasionally. Two of the three kids will come to games with my husband and I, but they enjoy T-Mobile Stadium. They enjoy the food, that kind of stuff, which great. But I think this year's a little bit different because he started to understand the game last year. So maybe that's you. Maybe it was the playoffs. Maybe you became fascinated by baseball because of the playoffs. You are welcome here. If you are someone like me who has been doing this since 1977, you are welcome here, or anywhere in between. The only rule I guess I have is that we are kind to each other. And anyone who's saying nasty things in the comments, I am just going to remove you. I want this to be a safe place. That's the one reason I think I probably need some sort of moderator or something so that someone can moderate those comments. But right now, I'm winging it. So we are coming here to talk Seattle Mariners baseball. We might talk about other teams, but it is, if a player's going through something on another team, I can see us having a conversation about that and the humanity behind that. But we're really here to talk about Mariners baseball and the team and the people and ourselves and all of our humanity. This is a game. It's not life or death. It's also all their jobs, right? And so some days we go to our job and maybe we're just not all in on our job that day. They are human. They're going to feel that way. Maybe they had a fight with their wife before they left, or they're on a road trip for 2 weeks, right? And they haven't seen their children, or, whatever it is. Those are the things I want to talk about. Maybe you do too. Maybe that's how you watch baseball too. We're obviously going to talk about the highs and the lows and the fun of the game. And the absolute devastation sometimes of the game. But that's what I'm here for, is the feelings behind all of that. So I'm like I said, I'm going to upload a few podcasts, and I'm probably going to repeat myself a couple of times, but I just want to try to eke out, and I'm doing this I don't have a script I'm reading. We're doing this really raw. And so I just want to, like I say, eke out what I'm hoping to do with this podcast so that you can decide if it's something for you. And again, I'm calling it a podcast community because it's not my podcast. I want it to be our podcast. And it is going to be a little different because most of the episodes ideally will be live. I hope that they're not, I shouldn't say I hope that they're not. I don't anticipate that they will be hour-long podcast episodes. Maybe they're 20 minutes on a Monday and a Thursday, and we just talk for a few minutes about how we're all feeling, get it out of our systems, get back to our lives. Maybe some of them are longer, right? Again, I'm going to watch this evolve. I'd like to see who wants to watch it evolve with me, right? So that's where I'm going to stop today. I'm sure there will be things that I go, oh yeah, I meant to say that. And that's what for future episodes are going to be. Again, my plan is to upload a few of them in January as we get closer to spring training. And then I don't know how I'm even going to promote this, you guys. So people who find this are going to find it organically. And ideally you share it with other people that you think might be interested in this. Again, I'm just curious to see where this goes. I have no specific plan on what it looks like. It's something I wanted to do. The 50th season seems like the perfect season to do it. And let's see where it goes. So if you find this and it sounds like it's you, welcome. And if it's not for you, that's okay too. There are lots of other podcasts out there that talk about Mariner stuff that you are welcome to join in on. And I'm not for everybody. This podcast is not for everybody. This community is not for everybody. And that's okay. It shouldn't be. But if anything I've said here resonates with you, I'd love you to join us. And we'll just see where things go from here. So yeah, probably no, I don't even have like music going in and out. Maybe that's to come. So yeah, I look forward to meeting some of you that this resonates with, and we'll just see how this evolves. So I look forward to talking with you further. Okay, go Mariners.